out with his baseball cap on and his hoodie like, yo, y'all think this is a game? Y'all don't know I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Park Slope, but I'm from the tough parts of Park Slope.
And you got cracks in the sidewalk.
Yeah, listen, the Italian bakery doesn't always have fresh bread when I show up. Right? And the caramel lattes aren't always warm.
Right. No oat milk for you.
You know, they don't always.
What's up? It's simple, disruptive, we're vibing tonight. Trending topics in the spotlight, breaking down what's right. With smooth grooves and R&B, feel we bring the heat. Critical thought for everyday life, we're keeping it real.
What's up? What's up? It's Echo Disrupted. Here we are with a little hot take episode, a little sprinkle of some discussion before we do our next episode, which will be episode 8. So definitely tune in for that. We'll definitely get that out to you shortly. So looking forward to the conversation.
Quoting the great philosopher and poet, Hakeem. It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you.
Exactly. Without a strong beat to step to. So let's jump in. A lot to talk about.
As far as let's start off with this week's activities in terms of our faithful. I don't want to call it our faithful party. The Democrats.
Yeah,
Democrats got
that.
I don't know if the our party. The what do you call it? The holding pattern party for the time being. They got a problem with age.
I don't know why the kente cloth came to mind.
Oh no! And they were over there.
I was thinking of Nancy Pelosi and them when they did the kente cloth kneel. I apologize. Go ahead.
I thought, listen, and this is before AI generated doc pictures. I was like, is this AI generated? Like, this can't be real.
Sorry, I went off the ADHD.
Hey, white people. But they got an age problem, and it's funny. Like the other day, Bill Maher and his dumbass starts taking shots at Jasmine Crockett over her. She's a black woman doing what black women do, right? What's her name? Megyn Kelly comes out and says, "Oh, she happens to be educated. She's not from the street." I don't remember Jasmine Crockett ever saying she's from the street, but they got an age problem, right? So you got 2 congressmen that just checked out, right? God rest their souls, but these guys just checked out. Just died, right? If you look at even though the Republicans got a whole bunch of wingnuts and dudes that are just essentially batshit crazy, but they got young energy, right? These guys could mount a bunch of lost leaders and weirdo campaigns because they got energy. Look at Chuck Schumer folded the other day. Now there might be some implications to that where we didn't see, at least initially, because had they shut the government down, a lot of what the courts would have been also shut down, and that could have certainly impacted
big time
Trump from being able to go buck wild, because we know there's no real rhyme or reason to what he does and when he does it, and he's got a bunch of sycophants in head positions that are ready to do whatever he wants whenever he wants them to do that. So Chuck Schumer may have actually been strategic. That might have been a strategic play that ends up hurting in the long run. But the reality is, if you got a shutdown and the courts are shut down, how much damage can he wreak while there are no barriers and no brakes no one to put the brakes on him when he's doing something outlandish, trying to enact the
wartime powers?
Yeah, the wartime powers where it's okay, this dude, he's having fever dreams and waking up and just basically pushing levers. So if you don't have the mechanisms in place, what's left of the mechanisms in place to check him, what do you have? And I'm assuming that's what Chuck Schumer was trying to do. Whether he wanted to or not, that is the result. But they have a problem, right? As you and I joked about offline with Hakeem Jeffries, right? Hakeem Jeffries, the other day, I don't know who got under his skin. I forgot the dude that got under his skin. He came out with his baseball cap on and his hoodie like, yo, y'all think this is a game? Y'all don't know I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Park Slope, but I'm from the tough parts of Park Slope.
And you got cracks in the sidewalk.
Yeah, listen, the Italian bakery doesn't always have fresh bread when I show up. Right? And the caramel lattes aren't always warm.
Right. No oat milk for you.
You know, they don't always have organic oatmeal for my lattes. But again, we're having an issue, and especially in today's environment where young people are looking more than ever for guidance and for something to belong to as it relates to politics. You can't have these old guys as the face of the party anymore. You just can't. That has to, if they keep saying why the Democrats keep losing, in my opinion, it's that, right? Because the Republicans are not going to play by the rules. They can't. Doing so is an existential threat to them. So that's why they have to continue to muck up the gears and play all the tricks that they play, gerrymandering and the like, all these other things that they do. The Democrats got to get younger. You guys, instead of trying to shun the AOCs of the world and the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, there's another gentleman, a brother.
Maxwell Frost.
Not Maxwell Frost. Thanks for catching. Instead of shunning those guys, I don't even know why we're still talking. Why is Nancy Pelosi, why is her name still in the mix at all?
Because she's trying to run again.
What's she running for?
What is this next election coming up? She put in that she was going to run. She's not out there. She's out, but not out. So yeah, she's still lurking around. It's interesting because when Trump had that Senate, gosh, where was it? Like what, last week? I feel like all of the days are coming together, but when he spoke to Congress and there was some people, Al Green, where he stood up. Basically, there were some people that as the speech went on, they left. Some people had paddles up. There was different levels of the Democrats standing against what Trump was putting down.
The State of the Union.
So basically, what's crazy is that Hakeem Jeffries pulled Jasmine Crockett and Maxwell Frost into private chambers to talk to them about them he didn't want anything going down. He can't talk to Mr. Green, so to speak, Elder Green, but he could pull the young two in. And Jasmine Crockett did an interview on Evan Smith, and she has to me, this approach makes sense, that not everybody is going to have the same fire. And to me, the Democrats need to really figure out how and who needs to address and do what.
Agreed.
So in other words, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries too, though they're not the voice of the moment.
No, especially Chuck Schumer.
But even to your point about there was a lot of who's going to do what, should we get the shutdown, should we not? Schumer is a sellout, but then you got this guy doing wartime efforts on a Saturday, and luckily that the courts were open, that the federal court was still in session. It's different things that are like moving so quickly and what that wartime act is, but to keep it back to the Democrats, I think that what Jasmine Crockett was saying is that there should be say how people can talk, meaning like Maxwell Frost, Jasmine Crockett, they're the energy of what's happening now and what people want to hear and see. So they should be AOC. And I know everybody feels a way about Bernie, be it Tim Walz, these people that are in these areas and are getting people to listen, and they're listening to people as well. So I think that they have to really look at this. It can't be the same old, throw out the same two people and think that everyone's going to listen. And I think
it didn't work.
It didn't work, right?
It didn't work. So at this point, the amount of traction that Jasmine Crockett is getting, everybody wants to interview her. Everybody wants to speak to her. You need to follow her lead. Just is what it is. And you need more firebrands, because here's the thing. That's an educated young lady. She's an attorney. She's not some chick off the street, right? She wasn't selling hair product and working at a chick.
Selling bundles.
There you go. She wasn't selling bundles and doing French fries to raise money before getting to Congress. She's an accomplished lawyer versus a Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is God knows what the hell.
CrossFit. I think she had like a CrossFit studio. Yeah.
CrossFit, along with whatever scams she had with whatever her husbands were, and a bunch of soap opera stuff. They're not the same. They are not the same. Quoting Joyanne Reid, where Joyanne was saying, we put Obama in office, and their response to Obama was Trump. The best they could do was Trump. In their minds, those two individuals are on par. So a Marjorie Taylor Greene versus a Jasmine Crockett, on paper, there's no comparison. Why are the Democrats not following suit? And leaning into that, Gavin Newsom and his strategy, right? And I don't know what his strategy is, but I'll give him a little bit of grace. He had Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon on his podcast, and he's pissing some people off. There's a lot of raised eyebrows. Where I may give a little bit of grace and some time to understand is the Democrats have allowed themselves to become the party of weirdos, right? Because most of America, the people whose votes you need, for whatever reason, view transgenders in sports and the normalization of homosexuality and the him/her gender bending. Those are, for whatever reason, those are major topics for them. Those are major issues for them. Economy be damned. Rights be damned. Entitlements be damned. These people are focused on that. And although I don't necessarily agree with that strategy, but you got to get away from having that attached to you, because although the Democrats, and I heard Don Lemon, shout out to Don Lemon for putting that together the other day, because he says, yeah, I'm gay and I have a gay, and gay rights are important to me, but they are not the headline, right? This should not be the headline. That should not be what the Democrats are campaigning for, right? There are larger issues on the table, and this is an ancillary topic. If Gavin Newsom's intent is to say, okay, we're looking for common ground with people in the MAGA movement, people who are disaffected, because the reality is a lot of these MAGA people don't necessarily have a philosophy, right? These are people who don't know much about much. If there's a way that we can get them back on our side by showing them, hey, we just normal people. And by the way, this isn't, yeah, we okay with the LGBTQ people, but they aren't necessarily the people that we are not hitching our wagon to them. If that's the strategy and he's starting off early, you got to tip your cap and wait for the rest to happen, right? You got to be, to a large degree, be a pragmatist. In order for the Democrat to win, the reason why Obama won twice, he was a pragmatist. You have to be pragmatic. You can't be extreme. And having these two jerks on may actually have given him some level of credibility with that crowd.
I think
I can see the look in your face. You're like, he on some bullshit.
I do need to listen to both podcast episodes, especially because I have to do my Steve Bannon deep dive. Charlie Kirk, I would say, was probably more along the lines of what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Just to have a conversation. I know what I did hear in clips, Gavin Newsom said that his son even likes this dude, Charlie Kirk.
That's a lot about your son.
But yeah. Well, hey, again, that's a whole other incel. I'm not calling Gavin's son an incel, but there's a lot of talk about how that Turning Points organization taps into that the young men, so young boys, and get them young, because I think Gavin said his son was 13. You catch them at that impressionable age from whatever it is. I don't know how they get in there, if it's gaming, if whatever, and then you pull them along.
Just to pause you right there, please don't lose the thought.
No, I'm not. Mm-hmm.
They're tapping into white male patriarchy, even young. White men have this idea that they need to be centered and it needs to be about them. Everybody is here. We are all their muses here to make them comfortable, right? So that's what the Charlie Kirks of the world represent. And at the end of the day, Gavin Newsom does it as well, right? When if he says he's found some surprising commonality with them, of course you did. You're a white dude. And the one commonality that you guys have is the American experiment benefits you and positions you to be where you are today, at the top of the food chain, systemically, done specifically with the intent of protecting people like you and that look like you, and that includes your 13-year-old son. Continue, please.
Yeah, so I'll give you the Charlie Kirk but the Steve Bannon, I'm gonna pump the brakes on that one. We're gonna have to dissect that one. I'm gonna fully listen to that episode, because Steve Bannon is no one to be played with. This dude, those two are playing chess. He blamed the little clip that I did see. He basically was talking about, yeah, I know we disagree on who won the 2020 election. This is like, we know who won type of thing. Whoa. So I honestly, he's been on my to-do list, meaning to really deep dive into him, because he, I think, will use Gavin Newsom even though Gavin thinks he's using him, and that dude will flip this whole thing. And next thing you know, I don't believe that there even will be a 2028 election at this point, the way things are going. But
it's up in the air.
It's up in the air. But whatever happens, trust and believe if there is one, Steve Bannon would definitely be somebody that's right up there trying to run the dictatorship or whatever this thing is about to become. So I'm not gonna give you Steve Bannon on that one with Gavin, but I'll give you Charlie Kirk though.
We'll see. We will see where.
Of course.
So think about even again. Everything is. This is the one thing I've always said, right? A white boy at the end of the day is going to be a white boy, and it's a tough statement on its surface, because I'm cool with a lot of white dudes. At least I used to be cool with a lot of white dudes. Even on a professional level, right? You and I have some in common.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, this dude could be cool as the other side of the pillow, right? He could be a man, y'all went to lunch, y'all broke bread, this, that, and the third. The minute it becomes business only, it becomes business only. And they have to go into, if it's advantageous to them to default to being a white dude, 9.5 out of 10 is 9.5 times out of 10 they're going to default to being a white dude. Yeah. It just is what it is, and they will blanket it in this is just business, right? So a lot of their sensibilities and ours do not align. Culturally, we do not align. And mind you, that's not a wrong or right thing. That's just it is what it is thing. Because if you've ever dealt with them, if you've ever dealt with white dudes in a corporate setting, my gosh, y'all go from friends to enemies in seconds. And literally where you got explained to sometimes, let me ask you a question. Where y'all grew up, there's no consequences for how you spoke to people? What do you mean? Yo, bro, watch how you talk to me. Oh, you're making everything personal. Yeah, you're right. Watch how you talk to me. So you watch you look at how Trump, going back to Zelensky, how Trump put his hand on Zelensky. What other setting do you see something like that? Mm-hmm. Or you never see anything like that, where a foreign dignitary is being manhandled by the president of the United States. I say all that to say this. They revert, right? At the end of the day, Gavin Newsom, as cool as we all thought he was, when he says, I have some commonality with these guys, with the MAGA group, of course you do. At the end of the day, you want America to stay white. It just is what it is. Rare is the white individual that can say, equality means you're taking something out of my pocket in order for you to be equal to me. I like that. Come on. It's rare as that occasion. But either way, not to get sidetracked.
No, I just think also why Bannon to me is doing the same thing that Newsom is doing is maybe like a couple of weeks ago, Bannon was talking about Elon and was going hard in the paint against him. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Steve Bannon, that Elon shouldn't be associated anywhere with the government, the whole bit. So that's why I say this guy, to your point, it just is coming at it from a different angle, right? We got Gavin coming in from the Democrat kind of sliding. And then you got Bannon, who's right. And I don't know that he's sliding, he fake sliding to the left, so to speak. But the problem is, and just tying this back to, where we are between the Democrats and the Republicans and what's happening is that there is so much unrest and instability, but there's no direction to take that anger, meaning we just know, okay, yeah, it's Elon. Maybe some people see that as Trump, but where's the action plan? I know people will say, where's the Democrats' Project 2025 or 2026, whatever year number they want to put on there. And I think that's where people like a Bannon can easily come in and infiltrate and get people while they're stirred up and say a couple of things that may seem like it makes sense and then get them to pull along with him. It doesn't have to be Bannon. It could be any of these jacklegs, but I'm just saying, without having a lot of this anger and uprising, without having it geared toward a direction of cause of what to do is problematic. That's it.
I totally agree. Especially now, think about with all these tariffs and the impact that these tariffs are going to have on people day in, day out. And a lot of these people have no idea that
Trump.
Huh?
Trump doesn't even know.
You have no idea that the other country is not going to pay the tariffs. And here's the thing, again, the hyper normalization. Some people, oh yeah, some tariffs are good. Okay, not these tariffs. So when you say you're trying to normalize what he's doing, it's not normal, right? But when the impact happens, there's going to be people crying in the street, and there has to be somebody there, to your point, to say, okay, guys, this is bad, but this is how we fix it. This is the power that we need. This is the plan that we're deploying to address this issue. We're asking you to bear with us as we deploy that plan. And I think, Waltz is smart. Yes. Smart. So these Republicans are not going to these town halls because they're getting their heads handed to them. So now Waltz is saying, okay, y'all don't show up, I'm going to show up. So that is the game plan. To me, because listen, we ain't responsible for this. Y'all voted for these dumbasses. So now maybe you'll listen to me today. And the challenge is going to be, you need a charismatic chameleon. And maybe that's the role that Newsom is now playing, and the foundation that he's developing, to where he's charismatic and be able to appeal to everybody. The challenge I have with that is you would be appealing to people's common sense more and more these days. That common sense ain't that common, right? Americans are pretty stupid. I posted earlier in threads that Germany's saying that they're 94% of them saying that they're not buying Teslas.
Teslas.
So Teslas, there we go. So there no Teslas in Germany. And somebody responded saying that Germans are clever and they're hardworking and have decided they're not going to do this. I said, and my response is, unfortunately, we can't say that about Americans. How many Americans generally are clever? Americans, by and large, unfortunately, compared to our European counterparts, are pretty stupid and don't know anything, and I'm more focused on entertainment than actual geopolitics as well as domestic politics. Yeah, it's going to be. I'd like to see how the rest of this plays out. Points noted about Bannon and Kirk and Newsom, but I'd like to see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting. The next 4 years, outside of all this noise, chicanery, and chaos that the chaos agent, the toddler in chief, is making, I'd like to see where this ends up. Strategic.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because Bill Maher had Josh Shapiro on his show, and he was trying to get him to say that he was going to run for president. He didn't bite, but I think he's savvy enough to be like, hold on.
He's another one.
He's another one that I wouldn't necessarily see him. I don't know. I'm just speculating from this point in time. I wouldn't see him running as president, but I do see him as being someone's running mate. And if you look at Bill Maher's episode, he was just running down his stats. I don't talk sports ball, but he was running down his political stats of everything that he's done while he was AG.
Hey, listen.
He's doing his government. And to me, that, without you saying, but you saying, this is what I stand on. And he was like, even though I'm Jewish, a lot of the people in Pennsylvania, where it's very diverse, he said that when he started to talk about when he was sitting at, their dinner, the Jewish dinner.
Later?
No, I think it's something else he said. Oh my goodness. Anyway, when they sit down to dinner as a family, he said that was translatable to other people that said, hey, this is what we do when we come from church on Sunday. It was something else he said. Why my brain is just not functioning right now. But yeah. So anyway, long story short, there's definitely people to watch and see how they come out in terms at this time and put their resume out there, so to speak.
They're laying the foundation, and it's smart, right? It's super smart. And I think by the time he gets there, that Gaza problem is going to be resolved to one degree or another, and he won't have to carry that weight. Trump already said he's going to turn it into Trump estates, and he's going to make it into the Middle East Riviera. So that'll be on the Trump. That will be on the Trump administration and not on the Democrats. So let's see how Middle America, and in particular Dearborn, Michigan, reacts to that. Bunch of idiots. I wanted to really quickly share a story at a high level about the flux of all these cuts and how they're impacting seniors and their insurance coverage. It's, from my understanding, again, very high level. Maybe we'll table it for now,
okay.
But during our next episode, we'll get into it in depth, but that's impacting a lot of these seniors in terms of what's available to them and what isn't, especially these cuts that are potentially coming down the pike. It's going to be really rocky road. I remember you were telling me about the experiences with Obamacare and how that impacted you directly. That it's going to be the opposite side of the spectrum this time around. So yeah, we'll be covering that. I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that for this conversation. Because I know we're getting near the end, I wanted to talk about the roles of celebrities in the Black community and this expectation. This expectation that Black people are more than just Black celebrities. David Banner was talking about how he doesn't want to be an OG in hip hop and in the Black community because of how poorly they're treated, and how there's no real reverence for them. And on the other side of that, and I'd love to get your thoughts, whenever a Black person becomes a celebrity, becomes well-to-do, there's this expectation that they have to give back. Oh, Jay-Z don't give back. This person don't give back. Jordan don't give back. And I'm really trying to go through the annals of my mind and anything that I've ever read that says the minute a Black person makes something, call it $1 million, $10 million, $30 million, $100 million, he's obligated or she's obligated to pay back, to give people money. I'm just completely thrown for a loop. Right? Quoting Drake. You wasn't in the gym with me shooting free throws. Like, why do you think you're entitled to anything? Now, in my opinion, there's a difference between this would really be nice and this would be really altruistic. If this person decided, hey, I'm going to take some of what I made and give back to people who need, versus they're obligated and now we're judging them based on them not doing so, or whether they chose to or chose not to do so.
It's interesting because I think that what it looks like and who qualifies and quantifies what the give back is, right? So if you do backpacks for school, or if you do the turkey drives or whatever the case is, that's something that's visible. But what if you do something that gives scholarships or something along those lines? I think that's probably where I'm trying to figure out who is the arbiter of this. Who is the one that is saying, okay, you made 50 million, therefore you need to give back 10% that's tied to the community. And then that means, and then you allocated it the way we deem fit.
The great arbiter has deemed fit. Agree with you.
To me, I feel like we could go longer on that one. Interesting topic for sure. As always, it's always good to catch up and talk about the crazy world that's happening at rapid pace. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all of the things. Check us out on socials as well. We are in these streets, as my friend says. Make sure you check us out. Until the next episode. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Yep.